So this is Eric Marcotte. He's joining us from Arizona. He races for Elbows Racing, and he's had a hell of a year this far. He's won at Joe Martin stage race, and he won in Tulsa on Crybaby Hill. And I just want to start by asking you, what is your goal for your future of this sport? Because we know you have, for those of you that don't know, he holds down a job. You can tell us a little bit about that and how that plays into the balance. But what are your goals for cycling?
That's the toughest question for me. I mean, I think my ultimate goal with the whole cycling thing is to work in balance with my clinic. Ultimately, in the next couple of years, doing it's a hard thing to understand, but just teaching people how to be as balanced and as well as possible. It's hard. It's a hard question.
It's a hard question. That's fair.
It's the cycling part of it coming in. It gives me, as a healthcare provider, especially somebody that wants to take care of the elite athletes, the weekend warriors, the age groupers, the masters, I need to know the physical limits and what happens to the body and what it needs, where we get the deficiencies, the toxicities, so that I can provide for everybody so that they're never injured. Or if they are, they have the resources they need to actually come out of that hole instantly, and then the information to never go back into it. That's what I'm trying to use cycling for, goal-wise, and make the boss happy. I mean, if somebody's going to give me an opportunity like this, I feel really lucky that Ben, wanted me on the team, Ben Spies, and obviously, if somebody gives me something, I'm going to make sure that they know it was worth their time.
That's good. Well, the season's probably 2 quarters almost over. We're in the 3rd quarter, maybe going into the 4th quarter of this thing. Has Elbows been happy with their results this far?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, if you were to say, like, you read a couple of my results, and Joe and Heath and Christian, and now Sully just won another one yesterday. If you would have told me that we would have done that, maybe in the entire year, but to do it thus far and to make a mark, I'm extremely happy. Very, very lucky to be a part of this, and I hope everybody's happy that's putting in the money and the time and effort to support this campaign.
Well, and that's why it comes down to you have some big engines on that team, and even though your team is kind of new to that peloton, you're a new face, not around Southern California or Arizona, but when you got away at Crybaby Hill, they thought they were going to close down that gap on you, and you attacked that break, and they weren't ready for that, and so you really made a name for yourself getting on the radar, because that was a huge win. But I mean, do you have the motor to go to the next level? Because everybody I talk to says, man, this Eric Marcotte guy, he's the real deal. If he puts in the time, he's got the motor to go to the next level.
Well, I mean, I got a coach, Adam Mills from Source Endurance, and this is the first year I've ever had a power meter, and so we analyzed the numbers, and he's really happy with what I've been able to do since my injury. A couple months ago, broke my collarbone, and just had to train a little smarter. I'm very lucky as a provider having a physical therapy group, endurance rehab, massage therapist, a naturopath, get adjusted all the time. So I really have all the resources to do well. But then you got to realize I have 5 other guys on that team that if my break doesn't work, boom, they're countering it and coming. So that's what also lets you get those results, is to have that quality group of guys just waiting in the wings to take it up when you don't have it.
Yeah. So how do you keep the motivation? How do you keep a guy that is just beginning to ride his bike? He comes out, he's on fire, he's riding. How do you get a guy to ride his bike at the beginning of his career and make him ride that same way with that much passion at the end of his career? How do you balance that? What do you think that is?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm just asking you. What do you think it's going to take to balance that?
I think I have a bigger vision and a bigger goal. I mean, and with the social media and like people interested like this, I mean, there's probably some people interested in what I have to say. So
Absolutely.
now I have a bigger platform to speak with. And, I spent 8 years in school to get all this info. I would love for you guys to know what I know. You'd probably do it. So that's one of my biggest motivating factors, is to take advantage of the opportunities that I've been given with Ben Spees, Elbows Racing, and that type of stuff, is to keep going. If I didn't have that opportunity, I'd probably be just stuck. I wouldn't say stuck. I'd just be taking care of like a smaller, radius. I want the country at some level, at some point.
Well, that's very good. What are a couple things you can tell a guy that now that you've been at this level now all year, and maybe last year you weren't at this level? I mean, I watched you race a couple times in Brentwood, and you were really laying down the hammer, but you've obviously increased your fitness since then. What do you tell a guy? What are a couple things you can tell a young rider if he wants to get to your level and do great things?
I think it's a matter of time. If you put in the work, and you don't, I mean, you're going to expect the fitness and the results to come, but you can't expect them too early. You look at Joe Martin. The first year I did that, I didn't even get to the crit. Now this year we win the race, and the crit, I get second behind Eric Young, the U.S. Pro crit champion. I mean, we're right there. So that's a matter of time. The physiology, the biochemistry, your body takes time to acclimate to those efforts, and young riders can't really expect that. And you look at the Pro Tour, these guys coming over and just dominating in maybe the U.S., and then they go over and it's like 2-3 years before you hear from them. It's because of that. So they got to give themselves that time as well. And being lucky, like that's what our team wants to do, Elbows Racing, is to bring on that upcoming talent like a Joseph Schmalz and help develop him as a rider to get to the next level so that he fits in seamlessly. That's what the goal of the team is.
Well, your physique, you got chiseled legs, you have a chiseled physique. What is your diet like?
Everybody asks me that. Well, my background was doing the lifting back in the day. So when I first started racing, I think it's 04 or 05, I was like 185. I was just a big beast. And nutritionally, like, I'm not going to say one diet versus the other, but I definitely just eat real food. It doesn't really have any packages on it. I'm cooking a lot, try to stay raw sometimes. It depends upon the time of day, but it's just real food, what you'd have been eating 50, 100 years ago. That's basically what it comes down to, not a lot of the packaged stuff. And you're just missing a lot of the nutrients to repair and heal. So
awesome. And tell me what your practice is, just so everybody knows. I want to make sure we're clear on that.
It's really, I'm very, very blessed because I essentially rent space out of a huge physical therapy group, and we work hand in hand with most of our patients. So if you were to come in, I'd evaluate you and tell you what you could utilize chiropractic care for. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's not so much. And we send you to the PT group, same thing, evaluate what you can use there, massage therapy, maybe do some blood work with the naturopath to see if you're deficient in any vitamins, minerals, that type of stuff. So we're monitoring you from several different angles so that nobody just misses it. Like, I'm always an essential component, so is the PT. Is it once every week, month? It depends on what your goal is, where you've been through, where you want to go with it. And that's who's going to come into that clinic. It's the people who want to be taken care of, want to stay fit and healthy, and don't want to get injured. Right. That's everybody that's going to be watching this video.
Did you always ride your bike, just on a different subject, or did you? I mean, how did you get into this, riding your bike and then riding it at the level that you do, which is impressive?
I think it was. I didn't always ride a bike. I mean, when I was in undergrad in Michigan, I was just doing the lifting thing. I really just focused on the physical looks and thought that that's what was really healthy. And then I got into chiropractic school, and the colleagues and everything were teaching me much, much more about what real, true health is. It was much more than that. So I actually started to run and swim in the winter in Minneapolis, and I started to see I had an engine, got on a bike, rode with Bianchi Grand Performance, and just absolutely loved pushing myself. Gave it a shot, and really haven't ran or swam since. So that's basically where it started for me.
Well, you've been with Team Elbows now all year.
Yep.
And I know you are very passionate about riding for that team. Give me the inside scoop on that team. Tell me what the guys are like. I'm sure it's like a big family because you guys are all pretty close knit. But how? I mean, just give us all an inside scoop.
Well, I think that was one of the things about getting on with this group is we did a couple interviews with me just to make sure that we're all on the same page, because honestly in the peloton there's some phenomenal talent out there, but it doesn't always work out. Some of the teams out there might even be much stronger than their results are showing because they're not cohesive or the camaraderie is not there. Like with our group, everybody has their role, they accept it, they love it, and they thrive off of each other. Some of them are jokesters, some of them are pretty serious. But we just come together on the weekends and just have fun, you know? It's looking forward to seeing Joe, you know, try to get him to the next level and do his thing there and develop younger riders that could come on in to the program later on.
Let's go to that last day of Nature Valley when Christian looked like he was leading you out, and all of a sudden, I mean, he just got a burst of energy, and you were working really hard, and I think you guys went 1-2, and it was awesome because if you were on the spectator side listening and watching via live stream, you know, there was no talk about Elbows or any of the smaller teams. It was all the bigger teams, and then here you guys come with 1 to go, and it was really impressive. How big of a win was that for your team?
Oh, man, that was unbelievable. I mean, well, the start started out because Heathy was sitting 5th or 6th GC, and we really wanted to move him up onto the podium overall. And I don't know, 3-4 laps in, he let us know he just didn't have it. So Christian and I stayed near the front, followed moves, and just stayed really, really fresh. And I knew Christian was there the whole time. With 1 to go, what was it? Tyler Wren and Chris Huberti were up the road 10 seconds. And coming up to that climb, I just lit out. Hey, I'm going for it. This is where I started racing. I got a ton of friends here, family, or not family, but chiropractic friends, and who I started racing with, and just went for it. I don't know, if you don't know the race, it's a big, super steep hill. Take a left and then a right, and it goes back up. And I looked back to see where the peloton was, and it was Christian. So I thought, let's get him on my wheel, take a quick pull so he can recover and have him lead me out. I mean, I'm a sprinter. That's what I was thinking. But right when I thought that, Tyler Wren just attacked Chris, and there was no hesitation. You just have to believe in your teammate and that he can finish it off. So drug him around to the bottom of that hill, and he just lit it up, and it was just unbelievable. And Tyler Wren just started to fade a bit, and I just dug as deep as possible to come around him right at the end, and it just, I don't know. I remember that hug, Christian, man. It was pretty epic.
It was special. Yeah, it was a very special. I saw it in the end, and you guys were very proud standing up there, which you should be, because I don't think anybody thought that Elbows was going to be standing up there, and so that's what really puts you in the map. But now you get that major respect from the peloton that if you were lacking any, it's not there anymore. So that's always a good feeling. Let me ask you this. One thing I noticed when you're riding that you do better than 90% of the riders, you commit. When you decide to make a move and you go in a move, you are 100% committed. What does it take to stay in that zone?
Well, I think when I first moved out here to Arizona, I had to ride alone a lot in the Southwest, and I think that really got me to be able to race that way, to be able to read the race and know when it's hard that you have to go and do that. What it takes to stay in that zone is knowing that you've put in the time, the effort. It's all been there. Your body's recovered. You're ready to go. But in the back of my mind, every single time I do it, I know that I have those teammates now that are going to just be ready and waiting to commit or to come around it, to counter it in case it doesn't work. I don't know.
You
the
do a
harder
great
races
job,
are, the
though. It's
better we
almost
do.
like you enjoy the suffering part of it a
Absolutely,
little bit.
the harder the races, the better we do. I mean, that's if you look at the NRC, NCC stuff that we've podiumed or won at, they've been the harder ones. The flat courses, we don't have. I mean, I'm a sprinter, but I'm certainly not that 200-meter just
Sure.
absolutely blow it out sprinter, and I know that. And
Well, they know now if you get away, the race could be over. We have Manhattan Beach coming up, and then we'll conclude here. You got some big sprinters. You got Justin Williams, which is Cash Call. They're going to be there in full force. You know that. You got Optum, Ken Hansen. He's going to be there. And then you got you, and you know that those two guys are the 200 meters high gear sprinters. What is your tactics going to be for you in that race?
Well, I think we're gonna. We only have myself and Sully.
Okay.
He's Sean Sullivan, so it's not going to be our typical 6-guy crew. So, my best bet isn't to go head to head on those guys. I mean, last 2 weekends ago against Justin, head to head, he came around me right at the end. So, and I know that he's a better sprinter in that last 200 meters. So, just like getting Cavendish, out of the mix, you got to tire him out before he gets there. So I think that's the way we're gonna go. I told Nick, I said, "Hey man, if we don't come away with the win, I'm gonna be in every photo." So if that'll give you some idea of how I'm gonna race that.
Good for you. Good for you. Do you have anything to add, Eric?
No, I mean, this is pretty cool. I mean, I hope people start to enjoy watching these, getting some insight on what goes on behind the scenes and who these people really are. And for me, I think I was thinking about this as I was driving back from Flagstaff today. I just want to thank Ben Spies for giving me this opportunity, specialized in SRAM and Head and all those guys believing in us and giving us the equipment, and all we got to do is strap on and get them some results, So I'm very thankful that I had this opportunity.
Well, we're thankful for you at Cycling Illustrated for letting us have the inside. You're a very kind man, and you gave us great information today. So this is Eric and Brandon, Eric Marcotte with Elbows Racing on CyclingIllustrated.com.